Hello, welcome to episode 19 of Novel Knits. My name is Danelle and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading. I'm coming to you from my basement in southeastern Wisconsin where I live with my husband Nathan, our daughter Claire, our son Milo, my dog Penelope, and Claire's fish Aang. If you want to find me on Instagram or Ravelry, you can find me at Novel Knit Girl in both places. No special characters or spaces, just Novel Knit Girl, all one word. Today, I have some Vital Few. I have a couple finished objects. I have a lot of works in progress and a little bit of book club at the very end. I also have my first make-along winners for Q1, so I'm very excited about that. But I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much for watching my video today. I don't know what happened, but my last video got a lot more views than I normally get. I don't know if I finally got picked up on the YouTube algorithm, which has ignored me forever, or if someone had recommended me on their channel. So if you were recommended here by someone else, please let me know so that I can thank them. But thank you all for joining me today. And those of you who are returning, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. If I forget to say it at the end, I would love it if you could like or subscribe or both, leave a comment and interact. It's been so much fun. So let's talk about the make-alongs really quick, shall we? I have 2 year-long make-alongs this year, and it's been a lot of fun. We have a group in Ravelry called the Novel Knits Podcast Group, where I have a thread for each make-along, and there's also a hashtag for each, which I'll just say when I talk about the make-along. So the first one is Sweater Year 2022, so hashtag Sweater Year 2022, and that is basically what it sounds like. Let's make sweaters. I personally have a goal this year of making as many sweaters as I can because I have a ton of sweater quantities of yarn, and I either need to become a sweater knitter or I need to stop buying sweater quantities of yarn, or both. So other people also wanted to join in, so we decided to do a make-along. The other make-along is Shop Your Stash 2022. Again, very self-explanatory. Make whatever you want, as long as you're using yarn or other craft supplies that have been in your stash prior to January 1st, 2022. So yeah, use your stash. Use what you've already invested in, and that yarn that you love, make something with it. That's really the goal here. And it's been really cool seeing what you guys are posting, especially in the Ravelry thread. I'm really impressed. So if you need some inspiration to use your stash up, just check out that thread. It's really awesome. If you have any other questions about the make-along, I do have information underneath this video that lays it all out. And you can also watch my video from January where I kind of announced the make-alongs. And really quickly, you can double dip in all the make-alongs, even mine. So if you make a sweater out of stash yarn, enter it in both threads. That would be great. And feel free, I know that there's other make-alongs going on. Knits and Pieces, I believe, is doing Smash That Stash, or I think it's Smash That Stash. So double dip with theirs as well. Michael for Piece, he's doing a sweater make-along for his birthday month. So please feel free to double dip. If you finish a sweater, please enter it wherever you want, as long as it's okay with the other make-along host, but I'm sure it will be. So I'm gonna quickly announce my winners. Because we're still pretty small, and I love that, I just take the names and put them in a hat right now. If we get to a point where we have more, maybe at the end of the year when there's more entries, I'll do something fancy with a Alexa or some other number generator. But right now I'm just doing it old school. So for Shop Your Stash 2022, the winner, and the prize is that I showed it last week. I'm sorry I didn't bring it over with me today, but it's the 2 skeins of Plucky Knitter Primo Aran yarn that go really nicely together, and then a bar of wool wash that smells really, really good. And the winner is C Clips, which is Sarah. So Sarah, if you can contact me either on Instagram or Ravelry and send me your mailing address, I would love to get that yarn and wool wash out to you. And the winner of the Sweater Year 2022 is Knitco, which is Kiko. And Kiko, your prize is pick any pattern that you would like off of Ravelry or any website, and I would love to give that to you, up to $10, because most of them are around that range anyway, but that's about what I can do. So thank you so much to everyone who's been participating. Honestly, I know I'm kind of annoying responding to all of your posts, but I love to see them, and it's really, really been fun for me. It's one of those things where you start a thread, a group on Ravelry, and you start a make along and you hope people are gonna show up, and I'm just thrilled that you guys are showing up. So thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna skip any like personal stuff for Vital Few this week just because I have some other cool stuff I want to talk about instead. I sort of decided on a whim that one way I want to get through my stash this year is to have some sock tubes cranked. I do not own a sock machine. Maybe someday I would like to, although it does seem that there's quite a learning curve for learning how to use your sock machine, and I am not very patient. I can say that about myself. I am not a patient person. I would just want things to work all the time. I'm surprised I learned how to knit, honestly, because I generally don't have that kind of patience. But maybe one day I will get one sometime. But right now it's not really in the budget either. So I reached out to Crayon, who is the owner of Creative with Clay. And if you're not familiar with his shop, he sells beautiful, beautiful mugs that have knit stitches on them, yarn bowls, little holders to put your stitch markers in. Beautiful, beautiful things. I really also wanted to buy a mug, but I didn't think I could get away with that with my husband. I'm sort of a mug addict, so I have to have a really good excuse to have a new mug come into the house, and this one wasn't gonna cut it. But he does a sock tube cranking service. I think it's reasonable, and I sent him 6 skeins of yarn to crank into sock tubes. And if you remember, I made my parents' Christmas socks this past Christmas out of sock tubes, and I had 2 thoughts. The first one was I didn't really love doing it. And then the second one was, but man, that was awesome. My parents loved the socks. I got them done in time. It was really a nice option, and it's gonna get me through some stash. So I was thinking of all those things and decided, yeah, I'm gonna get some sock tubes cranked to work on this year, because I'm not really interested in making vanilla socks right now. I really want texture, I want color work. So I thought this would be a good way to do some vanilla socks without having to do all the vanilla knitting. Anyway, I'm gonna get in and show you some of the sock tubes that I got back from Crayon, which he did a great job. So this first one was this Dream in Color yarn that I got off eBay last year. It's the November 2021 colorway, so I was cutting this one very, very close. And here it is. I really like it. I am not a really, red loves me, I love red. I don't normally knit with red. It's not a color I'm drawn to, but I can wear it, and so I should more often than I do, but it's just not a favorite color. But I thought this looks so good cranked, and I thought these would make some incredible holiday socks this year. So that was my thought process there. This skein I had cranked into a 72-inch tube to use for either my husband or my dad. This is fiber seed, and this color is Balsam Range. I just love this. I knew I was gonna love this one. So that'll work well for one of the men in my life. This one it's called like Rhinebeck Pajama Party. We'll always have Rhinebeck, but this is a Kirby Werby. I don't know if this was like a special Rhinebeck color that she did one year. I got this from one of my friends in a D-stash. Really like this one. And it's funny, even though you kind of get a sense of what something's gonna look like when it's knit up, I never saw this coming. And then this one, I definitely was enabled by Kimberly from the Sweet Pea and Chickadee podcast. I got Desert Vista Dye Works. This is her self-striping colorway, and here comes the Zombride. I love this colorway. And I got this one at 72 stitches, which means I meant it for my mom, but but I'm hoping I can also get a pair of shorties for me out of it as well. If I'm careful, I should be able to. So far, I haven't tried to make a second pair of socks out of the tubes that I've used so far, just because it's a lot of work, but I know I can do it and I plan to do it. Finally, I have two more. This one is a Bumblebee Acres Farms colorway. This is, I think it's No Face. I love the micro striping. So pretty. This is probably my favorite. One of my favorites. I mean, I love them all. And then finally, this is Leo and Roxy yarn. This was probably one of the first skeins I ever bought from them, and this is Major Tom. So Leo and Roxy, Major Tom. And this, I had no idea this is how this was gonna look. This was such a cool surprise. I'm really feeling these browns with bright speckles lately. It reminds me of the Versailles colorway from Lolo Did It. That is probably my favorite colorway of all time. So I just love this one. These are gonna be for me for sure. I mean, who am I kidding? Most of them will be for me because I'm selfish like that. I have no regrets. Okay, I'm really quickly gonna talk about my finished objects and then I'm gonna take a quick break. It'll be a break for me, but not for you. I finished two pairs of socks. I was hoping to finish 2 pairs of socks and 2 sweaters by the end of March, but I did not get there. And we are May 2nd and it is snowing outside. Anyway, my first pair of socks is, I used the DK Weight Vanilla Socks by Crazy Sock Lady Designs as kind of an outline for these. But I love these. I call these my melted crayon socks because they look to me like melted crayons. If you are familiar with FiberShare, I miss it. If you're not, they haven't had it since the pandemic, but FiberShare is basically this great thing that used to happen where you would pay a minimal fee. I think it was like $6, and you would get paired with 2 partners. You would send yarn to one partner and another partner would send yarn to you. And that year I was lucky enough to have Rachel, who at that point in time was dyeing Dyeabolical Yarns, as the partner that sent yarn to me. And she did a lot of self-striping, obviously a lot of really saturated colors, and she sent me a bunch of bits and bobs and ends of a lot of her Harry Potter and self-striping yarns. And it was about 80-ish grams, and I decided to hold them double with Knit Picks Stroll Bare and make DK weight socks. And I'm just so happy. And I was really thoughtful, which is odd for me. If you've been here for a while, you know sometimes I just like throw stuff out and see if it sticks. I was really thoughtful with weighing my yarn and marking where I switched skeins. I know, it's so not like me. And they're not, I knew they weren't gonna match perfectly just because of the nature of odds and ends. The only place I really feel like they look really different is the toe. I love them. I think they're great. And these sock blockers are just Knit Picks sock blockers. I think they still sell them and they're fine. They're not great or anything, but they're not terrible either. I don't block my socks generally. I just really use the sock blockers to take pictures and apparently show them here. And then I'm also trying to finish socks that I've started. I have a handful. The first pair that I decided to focus on are these Astrid socks by Tracy Millar. They're not fitting on these sock blockers very well. I used Leo and Roxy Marled Sock yarn, and it was a set that came with this white and green. I really, really like these. These were originally going to be for my mom. So these are 72-inch socks, which I think was good because I'm not super experienced with color work on socks. And it's got this like ribbed pattern. I don't know if you could really tell. I love everything about it. A couple modifications. I did a fish lips cause heel. I was having trouble. This yarn, while soft and amazing, is splitty and slippery, and I was having a hard time on the heel flap and gusset, so I just scrapped it and did a fish lips cause heel. And there is like a color work band that goes here and here, and I just omitted that. I didn't really like that look, So here they are, and I couldn't be happier. I also can't tell you where these sock blockers are from in case you love them. I found them on Etsy a long time ago. They were the first ones I ever received, or not, I mean, I bought them a long time ago, and they're so cute, but I don't know who made them. The good thing about Etsy is you could type in wooden owl sock blockers and see what comes up. Maybe you could even find something cuter, I don't know. That's it for my finished objects today. When I come back, I'll start talking about my sweaters and all the things that distracted me from finishing my sleeves. Okay, we're gonna start. The first work in progress is the Stratified sweater by Tif Neilan. It is out of the worsted book, and I'm using Corrrie worsted yarn by Lavender. I chose one of the kits off of the website, and it's Aimee's color. So if you look at the project pictures on Ravelry, it's the beautiful pink and burgundy that Aimee is wearing. I chose to do the standard length and not the cropped, and this is where I'm at. I finished the body, and I am on the cuff of the first sleeve. The one thing that I'm not totally happy about, and I can fix if it bothers me when I'm finished, because I am making the full length body and sleeve, it has you bind or do the ribbing and bind off in contrast color 1, because I think if you were making the cropped version, it would be here, this color. And every other stripe matches perfectly, and then the cuff is going to be off. But if I look at pictures, the pattern pictures, that's what everybody's is. So I think that's how it's meant to be, but if it really bothers me, I might rip out the hem and just make it the main color, the burgundy color. I love it. I really do. It fits me perfectly, like kind of sweatshirty, exactly the way I want it to fit. I love everything about it. I did have a moment where I thought I was allergic to the Corrrie worsted. I was working on it and my ears were itching like crazy, and I was like, oh my God, am I allergic to this really expensive wool? And then I realized it's April and it's probably just my spring allergies. So thank goodness for that. But this is really coming along. This will be done for sure by the next time I record. It should have been done this time, but as you'll see, I got distracted. This is my first time using these ChiaoGoo interchangeable shorties, I think is what they're called. I have no idea. I was watching the Knitting Posse, and I believe it was Laura was talking about how she can't live without these. And while I find it a little fiddly, I mean, I am not a 9-inch circular person. I can see how these will be really helpful, especially if I'm doing a color work sleeve. So I'm gonna keep using them to get better at using them. I'm not saying I don't like them. That would be an incorrect statement. It's just new for me, and I don't always love new things, but they're nice. I mean, this is the size 8 needles. So they're just a shorter needle and a shorter cord. So it makes going around and around in a circle easier, in theory. I'm just used to magic loop, but for me right now, using this, I feel like I have to wrangle my sweater around a lot more. But then once the sleeve gets longer, you don't have to do that as much. It's going great, and I'm almost done. I don't think I'm gonna rip out the hem just because I'm lazy, and it looks good, and that's what the pattern calls for. It's just one of those things where I have two of every color, or one of every color except the main color, and I don't even think I'm gonna break into that one. So it just seems like I could have used it for the hem. It's great, it's fine. I love the sweater, it's lovely. I don't think I have anything else to say other than it's going well and it will be done soon. Okay, just put some stuff away, and the next sweater that I'm working on is, my goodness, I have stuff everywhere. My Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. We've gotten to a point where with this sweater where this sweater is going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to love it. It's a little tight, not terribly tight. I do think that some aggressive blocking will do wonders for it. you'll see the other issue. Again, I did have to convince myself to be okay, but I am okay. She's gonna be what she's gonna be. Not every sweater has to be the same. Doesn't have to fit the same, doesn't have to have perfect color all the way through. So it's going well. You can see it, can't you? I still love it. I love everything about it. I knew it was happening and I chose to keep going because I didn't know what other option I would have. The second skein has a lot darker tones in it. So we go from the soft gray to this much, much darker tone here, and it's a clear line. I never considered, oh my gosh, the words, they're gone. Alternating skeins for this because I didn't know a way I could do that with mohair and not have it drive me nuts. If you have suggestions for future, let me know. But, and you can tell it's on the sleeve too. It is what it is. I don't hate it either. Like, that's the thing, is I don't hate it at all, but it's definitely there. You're definitely gonna see it. She is what she is, you know, we're good. So the yarn I'm using here is Lavender Lune Glitter yarn, and I'm holding it with Rowan Kidsilk Haze in steel colorway. The Lavender Lune is called Shadow Singer. It's a great color, and I'm gonna have at least one full skein left over that I'm gonna make a pair of socks with. I love the color. I love it. You probably can't see, but in addition to the like darker flecks, there's also like flecks, like rainbow flecks in there, but it's so subtle, and then the mohair makes it even more subtle. I did think that using the mohair would soften everything enough that this wouldn't be so obvious, but it's obvious. And like I said, I'm at peace. We are where we're at. This is my second sweater I've tried using this yarn with, and it's all okay. I'm okay, and I still think I'm gonna love it. It's just got personality, a personality all her own. I tried it on. It's a little snugger than I would like. It's a little shorter, but again, that was where I kind of had that thought of like, not every sweater has to fit exactly the same. They don't all have to be sweatshirty. Even though I tend to like a lot of ease in my sweatshirts, they don't all have to be that way. So she's gonna be what she's gonna be. And yes, she's a she. Okay, and then I have a couple new cast-ons. Quite a few, actually. What a surprise. I don't know if anybody else does this. Every once in a while, I wind up yarn, I put it in a project bag, and I'm like, okay, that's my next project. I do that with like 5 things, and then they sit for a year and a half, maybe longer. That's the story of this yarn. I had kicked this yarn up a while ago. It's Yarn Inc. Love Song. It was a kit collaboration with the Grocery Girls. Jody made a love song hat, and I really liked it at the time. I bought the hat pattern, I bought the yarn, I caked it up, I put it in a bag, and when I looked at it, I thought, I don't think I'd wear a pink hat. I love this yarn. It's gorgeous. And not every hat has to be for me, but that was what went through my mind and made this decision. So I decided instead to make the Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Millar, Jody's sister. And I love this. I think this was the best decision I could have made. I don't have any pink socks because I always say I'm not really a pink person, and then next thing you know, I'm knitting with pink yarn. So I'm not gonna say that anymore, but it's just a really cool textured sock. And it came with 2 minis, so this like dark chocolate brown and then this like mauve here. I am following this pattern exactly as Tracy wrote it. So even I did the same amount of ribbing, I did the same amount of rows, I did the heel flap and gusset, which is really nice. And now I'm just on the foot of the sock. The only modification I plan to make is I think she does some garter on the toe, and I'm not here for garter on your toe. So I'm just gonna keep it in stockinette, but I am gonna do the color fading that she does. You'll see it probably next time. So I'm really enjoying these, and I kind of started these on a whim. I had the yarn caked up and I just thought, why not? It'll be fun. I could have been working on my sleeve for my Stratified, but I pulled this out instead. And then I started swatching for my next sweaters. Oh my gosh, this bag. It's new. Can you see the sparkle? Laura's bags are the best. I heart you. This is her extra large. I don't think this is a size she normally makes, so that was why I really wanted to get it. And it's so pretty. And it's got this gorgeous fabric on the inside. She's my favorite bag maker. I can't help it. I decided to swatch for the Hinterland Sweater. And this is a pattern by Kate Noseworthy, I believe. Yes. And I found this on the Knit Picks website, and it is made with provincial tweed yarn, and I decided not to buy that yarn, even though it looked really great with the pattern, and use Harrisville Tweed's Nightshade that I have in Talk Radio. So I did a gauge swatch. I've never used this yarn before. I've been really excited to use it. And it's just a kind of textured pattern. I don't know if you can really see. And Nightshade's yarn is really neat. It's black yarn kind of spun with, this one has like some blues, I think. I'm not positive. It's really hard for me to tell in this light, but I'm not seeing blue. I'm seeing more of a red. I could be wrong. But anyway, I'm usually a process knitter. This is definitely a product knit for me. I decided I wanted something like this in my wardrobe. Looks cute on her, right? So hopefully it'll look cute on me. So I did gauge swatch and I washed it because I've never used Brooklyn Tweed, but I imagine this is similar to how Brooklyn Tweed feels before you wash it, and then it's much softer afterwards. I like this gauge. I'm not quite on gauge, so I just went up a size in the pattern. Basically, you knit a back, you knit a front, you seam it together. I know, seaming, I haven't done that in ages. You kind of knit the sleeves and then the turtleneck. So this is gonna take me a while, and it was just one of those things I just cast on one day and did a few repeats. So I'm on the back. I've only done 2 repeats of the pattern so far. So I'm not very far. It's like nothing to show yet. And then I'm using this Katrinkles Progress Keeper. It actually wasn't showing you at all, but it has a RS to show me that this is the right side of the work. I can tell, but I wanted to use the stitch marker because I haven't used it yet. So this one I'm not planning, it's black yarn, which isn't my favorite to knit with. It's okay if it takes me a while. This one's not gonna be like at the top of my to knit, probably. I don't know. I never know. My knitting brain changes all the time. I'll be set on doing something and the next thing you know, I'm casting on a hat. It's just, I have no self-control, I don't think. But anyway, it's in this beautiful bag that I want to pull out every once in a while. I keep this close to me so that, you know, it doesn't take that long to do a 6-row pattern repeat. So I can just do it every once in a while. And then I did swatch for another sweater. Again, I would have had sleeves done if I hadn't done this, but it's okay. I was going through my yarn stash. We've talked about this. I have a humongous yarn stash, and I've been doing some soul searching and destashing on eBay, and I pulled out this yarn and I almost put it on eBay as a destash, but then I thought, what if I just knit with it? So this is Knit Picks City Tweed. I think it's an Aran weight, or it's an Aran weight. I think I thought it was bulky, but I got gauged, so I'm just gonna go with it. I chose the Reluctant Homeschooler by Caitlin Hunter. It is a big bulky cardigan. It came out during quarantine. And for your gauge swatch, you can just do the pockets. So I made pockets. I made 2 pockets. And this one will be one that I work on soon because I think bulky will go really fast. And you start with the sleeves. So I'll get off Sleeve Island really quickly. Then you do the body, attach the sleeves, do a button band, sew on the pockets, sew on these awesome buttons I got from Katrinkles. These are like the biggest ones I could find, and you're done. I think I'll be able to do this within a month. I hope. So I've been swatching and kind of starting my new sweaters, but I'm not going to touch those until I finish the other 2 sweaters at this point. And then finally, my daughter, Claire, she turns 14 on May 1st. I started these socks before we went to Disney, and I want to finish these. So these are the Wonderland socks by Tabitha Gandhi, and this is kind of looking like a mess. There we go. Let's do this. I really, really like these textured socks. They go really fast. The yarn is Midnight Cravings. It is not a sock yarn, but she picked it out, so we're making it sock yarn. And it's funny, the sock, because the stitches pull in, kind of looks weird. But as soon as you put your foot in there, and this is not my foot, but it's perfect. And then this is a stitch marker that I got from Simply Serving, and I love it. So yeah, I should be able to finish these in a month. I'm just gonna knit the length that I want, and then I'll put in an afterthought heel, and she will have birthday socks. And it's a really fun pattern. I have these up in my bedroom, and I've been knitting on these right now while my son reads to me every night. I'll probably have to start eventually doing more than 15 minutes at a time on them, but right now it's just a little light knitting while he reads. Okay, that is it for my works in progress, thank God, right? Whew. I'm just making sure I talked about everything, yes. So, I mean, arbitrary knitting goals. I want to finish my 2 sweaters. I do have a love note started that I'm going to pull out too, and I do think if I focused on that for a hard week or weekend, I could probably get that done too. Up next, I'm going to be casting on, for real, the Reluctant Homeschooler. I'm going to cast on a sea glass sweater. That is also probably like the Hinterland, going to be more of a back burner project when I want to do something different and play with colors. That'll be just a fun thing. It seems like people get really addicted to it until they have to do the sleeves, which I can understand. And that's also why I wanted to get those mini circular needles as well. I thought maybe that would help me get through those sleeves. We'll see, we'll see. And then I'm going to cast on the Miserina by Caitlin Hunter. This had no immediate plans in my queue. And I've just been looking at it lately thinking, I'm ready, and I've got yarn for it, and I want to make that. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I did also dye a lot of yarn recently. I probably should have talked about this in Vital Few, and I'll just mention it here really quickly. I probably haven't dyed any yarn in 8 months, and I tried some new techniques and had a really great time. I spent kind of 2 weekend days dyeing yarn and trying different things in different colors, and I made all yarns that I want to knit with, which I think is fantastic, because in the past, I think when I was dyeing yarn, I was trying to make yarn that I thought other people would like, and now making yarn that I like has been much more satisfying. And then if nobody else wants to use it, then I get it. So that's pretty exciting. I do have a little teeny tiny Etsy shop called Pencil and String. It will be linked down below. I own that shop with my sister-in-law. She is an artist, and she sells her drawings, and she makes pom-pom wreaths like that one, and bright colors too. and I sell yarn and some knitted items from time to time. But like I said, it's been a long time since I've had new yarn in the shop, so I haven't talked about it in a long time, but there's new yarn in the shop and check it out if you want. And if you don't, that's okay too. I'm not here to sell my yarn to you. I just thought I would talk about it briefly. Let's move into book club next. I finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was excellent. The only negative that I could think of why it didn't get 5 stars is I think it was a teens too long. That was it. Other than that, I think it was one of the most unique stories I've read in a long time. Very original concept, and interesting to see the different situations she was in, how she handled herself. If you don't know the plot, Addie LaRue makes a deal with the devil. I don't know what I'm doing with my fingers. Quotes, deal with the devil to have a life of freedom. And in so, her bargain is that everyone she meets forgets her right away. So she can't leave her mark on the world, and nobody remembers her. So it was a really interesting concept. It was really fun to read and navigate. I really enjoyed it. The ending, I heard Ray from Needles at the Ready say that he found it very unsatisfying, and I can see that. I don't know that there will be a sequel. I think it ended the way it was supposed to end. Whether or not it was a little satisfying or unsatisfying, either way, I liked it. And I feel like I've just ruined any good feelings I could give to you about it, but it's very good. I would definitely read it. I also finished The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and I gave that 2 stars. I just thought it was pointless. It started off strong. There's, mystery right at the beginning. Her husband, this woman's husband, is missing. His company is under investigation. He leaves her a note that says protect her, which is his daughter, her stepdaughter. They go on an adventure to try to figure out what's going on, and then it just slowly unraveled for me. I didn't love it. It was a very fast read. If you're someone like my mom who just likes to devour books, definitely give it a try. Maybe you would like it more than I did. I got to the end of it and I was like, talk about unsatisfying. I did not like the ending. But I don't know, that's just my opinion again. What I'm currently reading, I did decide to pick up The House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. It is going slow. I don't like this series, this Crescent City series. I love Court of Thorns and Roses. I liked a lot, like just under love, Throne of Glass. Like there's pedestals, first, second. I don't like Crescent City, but I did read that like there's maybe a crossover at the end that makes the last 70 pages a must read. I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm willing because I love A Court of Thorns and Roses so much, and because I like Throne of Glass so much, I'm willing to do this, I do think her last 3 books have really not been good. And I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know if she is just overworked, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like her formula has to be tweaked, or we need something new and original. And in Court of Thorns and Roses and in Throne of Glass, both of those series, like, you're invested in the world and the characters, and she does such a great job with that. And with this series, I'm not invested, and that's the big difference, I guess. But I'm gonna read it. I mean, I know I'm not gonna love it, but maybe the end will make me happy. We'll see. And then I'm also reading Caught by Harlan Coben. I've only read one other Harlan Coben book in my lifetime, which I really liked. This one's weird. I don't know. I don't feel like this is the best work of this writer. There's some sloppy characterizations of especially a female character, a female attorney that is just, I have to skim through all of her scenes because I hate her. And why do they need to make a smart and aggressive woman the worst possible version of a woman? I hate it. And I almost thought about reading this terrible sentence out to you and just thinking like, does anyone talk like this? And then I thought, that's mean, I shouldn't do that. So I decided not to, but some of the language is just not great. Like the sentences, I mean, I'm not perfect. You've seen me stumble through things, but they're just sometimes dialogue in books has to sound like people could really speak like that, and there was just a really bad one in this one. I do like the mystery. I think the story is compelling. I just think there's some weak writing, and maybe again, when you're a New York Times bestseller and you're just popping out books, you know, there's probably some sloppy stuff that happens, and I just feel like this isn't the best Harlan Coben book out there. It's not to say I don't like it. I'm just saying it has some weaknesses. That's all I have for you today. I'm gonna wrap this up because it's pretty long. Thank you again so much for joining me. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Please come back next time. Please join the make-alongs. It's great to interact with all of you, and I will see you next time. Bye.